In this episode, we traveled to Spearfish, South Dakota in early June 2019. What was once a peaceful town, famous for its natural beauty, became the scene of a shocking murder that revealed hidden truths, fractured relationships, and heartbreaking betrayals. Hunter Walsh, an 18-year-old college freshman from Spearfish, South Dakota, had a promising future ahead of him. With a charming smile and a sharp wit, Hunter had just graduated from Spearfish High School and was set to pursue photojournalism at the University of Chicago. His love for photography was evident on his Instagram, where he shared stunning photos of South Dakota's landscapes and authentic portraits of his friends. Hunter had big dreams of leaving his small hometown and establishing himself in Chicago's thriving art scene. But beneath his friendly and outgoing persona, Hunter was hiding a side of his life that most people didn't know. In the year leading up to his move, he had secretly engaged in romantic relationships with several well-known men in Spearfish. With his youthful appearance and magnetic personality, Hunter became appealing to those who struggled with being open about their sexuality. But his relationships went beyond the physical. He also used them to secure financial support. Hunter cleverly suggested the threat of exposure, pressuring his partners into giving him money to keep their secrets safe. He referred to these payments as gifts, which he used to fund his photography equipment and save for college. One of his most significant relationships was with Sheriff Dale Connors, a highly respected figure in Spearfish. Nicola, a 21-year-old college student studying environmental science, had been in a relationship with Sheriff Connors for 2 years, completely unaware of his hidden gay relationships. When she discovered the truth, the betrayal devastated her. Later that evening, Nicola confronted the sheriff at a local diner, and their argument quickly escalated into a public confrontation. Hunter confided in a friend, expressing fear that Sheriff Connors might seek revenge, though he didn't go into detail. He also voiced his frustration with Nicola, saddened that their once-string friendship was probably over. Despite his concerns, Hunter kept posting photos and videos on Instagram, trying to keep up the appearance of a normal life. By June 6, just days after the diner confrontation, Hunter Walsh's life would be tragically cut short. On the morning of June 6, 2019, a group of hikers made a grim discovery deep in the Black Hills National Forest, just outside Spearfish, South Dakota. Around 9 a.m., 55-year-old James Caldwell, a retired school teacher and passionate birdwatcher, noticed a strong, foul odor while walking near an old abandoned cabin he frequently used as a resting spot. Driven by curiosity, James approached the cabin and was horrified to discover the lifeless body of a young man lying just outside the doorway. The victim, later identified as 18-year-old Hunter Walsh, was partially concealed by debris near the cabin's entrance. His body showed clear signs of a violent attack, with multiple injuries to his head and upper body. A bloodied wooden baseball bat was found nearby, along with a shattered camera lying just a few feet from Hunter. The brutal scene suggested a violent struggle had taken place. Shaken, James quickly dialed 911, his voice trembling as he reported the grim discovery. There's a young man. He's not moving. There's blood everywhere, he told the dispatcher, his voice filled with distress. Despite his years of hiking and dealing with injured wildlife, James later admitted he had never witnessed anything so horrific. There was blood everywhere, he told the dispatcher, his voice speaking the same language as the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office arrived, and the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene. The remote location and dealing with terrorist attacks, wildlife being taken, badly hurt his symptoms, even if he passed out. By the time police arrived, a small group of curious hikers had gathered at a distance, murmuring in disbelief about what had happened. Hunter's clothes and belongings, including a torn backpack and scattered photography gear, were scattered around the area. Investigators also discovered footprints leading to and from the cabin, hinting that the attacker may have fled on foot. The broken Canon EOS 80D camera, once one of Hunter's prized possessions, seemed to symbolize the abrupt and violent end to his promising future. Forensic teams quickly began processing the crime scene, photographing the area, and collecting blood, hair, and fiber samples. Meanwhile, Hunter's body was taken to the local coroner's office for an autopsy. The brutal nature of the crime, coupled with the remote location, sent shockwaves through the quiet town of Spearfish, where violent crimes were rare and typically personal. Spearfish police and investigators from the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office reached the scene within half an hour of James Caldwell's 911 call. The area around the old cabin was quickly sealed off with yellow police tape as officers began carefully combing through the unsettling scene. The blood-stained wooden baseball bat was carefully collected as evidence, while the shattered camera, its memory card still intact, became a crucial piece of the investigation. The crime scene itself told a story of violence and struggle, leaving little doubt about the brutality of the attack. A struggle inside the cabin had spilled outside, where Hunter Walsh's body was left in the dirt. Detective Maria Lawson, a seasoned 10-year veteran of the Spearfish Police Department, took charge of the investigation. Known for her thorough and meticulous approach, Lawson was determined to uncover what could have driven someone to commit such a violent act against the young college student. Forensic experts gathered hair and fiber samples, took casts of boot prints near the scene, and documented blood spatter patterns. Within hours, Detective Lawson shifted her focus to Hunter's personal life, hoping to uncover any clues about who might have had a motive to kill him. As the investigation unfolded, a shocking side of Hunter's seemingly perfect life began to emerge. As investigators delved into Hunter's digital footprint, they uncovered sexually explicit text messages and emails revealing a series of secret gay relationships with prominent local men. The messages also indicated that Hunter had been extorting these individuals, threatening to expose their affairs unless they paid him money. One of the most incriminating findings came from his phone. Among the most revealing texts were those exchanged with Sheriff Dale Connors, a respected law enforcement official in the town. The messages outlined the sexual relationship between the two, which had recently deteriorated. Tensions rose when Connors pressured Hunter for more discretion, while Hunter subtly threatened to go public with their affair if Connors didn't meet his demands. As police interviewed locals, another troubling detail emerged. 2 days before Hunter's body was discovered, a confrontation had taken place at Rudy's Diner, a popular local spot. Witnesses recalled seeing Sheriff Connors, clearly enraged, grabbing Hunter by the collar and shoving him into a booth. This revelation cast a dark cloud over Sheriff Connors' reputation and added a new layer of complexity to the case. Could the sheriff's anger have been enough to drive him to murder, or was there someone else with an even darker motive? At 48, Sheriff Dale Connors was a well-respected figure in Spearfish. Known for his calm demeanor and commitment to the community, he had earned a reputation as a reliable leader in local law enforcement. However, as the investigation deepened, police uncovered a hidden side to Connors' life. He had been involved in a secret relationship with Hunter Walsh, one that had become increasingly strained. As emotions, secrets, and jealousy took their toll, the once controlled sheriff found himself drawn into a dangerous and complicated situation. The relationship, investigators discovered, began innocently enough. Hunter and Dale met at a local charity event in late 2018, and their connection quickly turned sexual. For Dale, it was an opportunity to explore a side of himself he had long kept hidden, a part of his identity he had suppressed for years. For Hunter, it was just another secret affair, one of many, that also came with financial perks. As their relationship deepened, Dale became increasingly infatuated, pushing for exclusivity. However, Hunter, ever the opportunist, wasn't interested in being confined to one partner, especially when he had other influential men in town to rely on. Tensions between Hunter and Dale escalated when Nikolai Phillips, Dale's 21-year-old girlfriend, discovered the affair. Nicole, an outspoken college student studying environmental science, had been dating Dale for 2 years. However, Dale later confessed to investigators that Nicole had essentially been a cover, or beard, to help silence rumors about his sexuality. The arrangement had worked for a time, but Nicole was unaware that she was being used to protect Dale's secret. In early June 2019, she walked in on Dale and Hunter in the midst of an intimate encounter at Dale's home. The confrontation that followed was intense and emotions boiled over. Hunter refused to back down. 2 days later, the situation came to a head at Ruby's Diner, where Dale and Hunter were seen in a heated argument. Witnesses described Dale as visibly enraged, grabbing Hunter by the collar and shouting at him in a public display of anger. Despite his denials, Dale's possible motives, jealousy, betrayal, and fear of exposure. Nicole Myers, 21, was a fiercely independent and passionate college student studying environmental science at Black Hills State University. Known for her quick wit and strong convictions, Nicole had always been someone who fought for what she believed in, no matter the cost. But when it came to love, Nicole wore her heart on her sleeve. For 2 years, she believed she had found the love of her life in Sheriff Dale Connors. Despite their 27-year age gap, she saw him as charming, steady, and protective, someone who made her feel secure and valued. In many ways, Dale represented the stability Nicole had longed for after a turbulent childhood. She had envisioned a future with him, but that dream was shattered in early June 2019. The discovery of his affair with Hunter was as devastating as it was unexpected, turning her world upside down. Caught off guard, Dale tried to explain, but his excuses only made things worse. Nicole's anger quickly shifted to Hunter, whom she now blamed for destroying her relationship. The once close friendship between them crumbled as Nicola unleashed her fury, feeling betrayed by both of them. For Hunter, it was just another messy chapter in a life full of secret affairs, but for Nicola, it was earth-shattering. As the shock began to fade, she started to unravel other moments in their relationship that, in hindsight, now made perfect sense. Clues she had missed, signs she had ignored, all pointing to the betrayal she had never seen coming. Dale's reluctance to be physically affectionate, his constant excuses to avoid public displays of affection, and his strange behavior around certain people all pointed to one painful truth. Nicole had been a beard, a cover for Dale's hidden sexuality. When Dale finally admitted this, Nicole was crushed. She felt humiliated, used, and discovered, unable to reconcile the man she had loved with the one she had just uncovered. In the days after the revelation, Nicola's emotions spiraled. Her heartbreak quickly turned to anger, and her fury was directed squarely at Hunter. Investigators later discovered a series of intense text messages Nicola had sent to him during the week leading up to his death, messages filled with accusations and raw emotion. When questioned by police, Nicola initially denied any involvement in Hunter's death. Her demeanor was defensive but calm, as she insisted she had no part in it. She acknowledged the threatening texts, explaining they were sent in a fit of anger and heartbreak, emotions she now regretted. "I just wanted to hurt him the way he hurt me," Nicole told investigators, her voice trembling with emotion. She insisted that her anger was driven purely by heartbreak, not by a desire for physical harm. However, Her texts painted a troubling picture, suggesting a deeper level of animosity and pain that couldn't easily be dismissed. Combined with her knowledge of Dale and Hunter's secret relationship and her overwhelming feelings of betrayal, police could not rule Nicole out as a suspect. Her once bright dreams of environmental activism and a future with Dale had been shattered, leaving her consumed by anger and heartbreak. At the heart of a chilling investigation. Then, in July 2019, the investigation into Hunter Walsh's murder took a shocking turn. While detectives initially focused on Nicole Myers and Sheriff Dale Connors as the primary suspects, new evidence surfaced that no one had anticipated. This discovery unraveled a complex web of betrayal, manipulation, and desperation, dramatically changing the course of the investigation. The breakthrough came from a forensic analysis of Hunter's phone and laptop, which detectives had seized early in the case. While the initial search uncovered the damning text messages from Nicole and Hunter's sexual connections with Sheriff Connors, a deeper examination of Hunter's encrypted files revealed a far more intricate and disturbing picture. Investigators discovered a hidden folder labeled Backup, which contained videos, photos, and emails documenting Hunter's secret relationships with multiple prominent figures in Spearfish. Among those featured were influential local business owners, including real estate mogul J.V. Haskins, a well-known pastor, and even a city councilman. The most shocking discovery, however, was a video recorded just days before Hunter's death. In it, Hunter is seen having a heated argument with Sheriff Connors. Connors, clearly angry, can be heard shouting, "This stops now, Hunter. You don't know what you're messing with." The footage also captured Connors admitting he felt trapped by his double life, saying, "You don't understand what it's like to live in fear every day." While this video added further suspicion against Connors, it was another piece of digital evidence that would ultimately reveal a surprising twist. Detectives discovered a draft email on Hunter's laptop, addressed to a reporter at BuzzFeed News. In the email, Hunter threatened to expose not just Connors, but also his other secret relationships, claiming he had enough information to bring South Dakota to its knees. However, the email was never sent. When questioned about the confrontation captured on video, Connors acknowledged having a heated argument with Hunter, but denied any involvement in his death. Nicole, for her part, admitted to being angry but insisted her anger had never escalated to physical violence. The case took an unexpected turn when further analysis uncovered an anonymous burner phone number that had been in contact with Hunter just before his death. The burner phone was traced back to someone neither Nicole nor Dale had mentioned, J.B. Haskins, a local businessman with ties to one of Hunter's extortion schemes. This revelation introduced a new suspect and raised crucial questions about whether Hunter's murder was a crime of passion or a calculated attempt to silence him permanently. The discovery expanded the investigation dramatically, leaving the town of Spearfish in shock as residents speculated about who else might be implicated in the scandal surrounding Hunter's tragic death. In July 2019, as investigators delved deeper into Hunter Walsh's life and death, another suspect surfaced: local businessman J.B. Haskins. A well-known philanthropist and the owner of a successful car dealership in Spearfish, Haskins had carefully crafted a public image of respectability. However, police uncovered a darker side to his story, revealing a secret gay relationship with Hunter Walsh that would become a key part of the investigation. Detectives uncovered evidence that Haskins and Hunter had been involved in a secret sexual relationship earlier that year. Their encounters were kept hidden until Hunter began demanding money to keep their affair quiet. Text messages between the two revealed that Hunter had extorted Haskins for a staggering $37,000 over several months, threatening to expose their relationship if Haskins didn't pay. In one text, Hunter wrote, Pay up, you little fairy, or your perfect little world comes crashing down. Fearing public humiliation and damage to his reputation, Haskins complied with Hunter's demands, but his resentment grew with each payment. As the investigation into Haskins deepened, another shocking revelation emerged. He had been in a secret, 10-decade-long relationship with Sheriff Dale Connors. Evidence from phone records and emails revealed a romantic and physical relationship between Haskins and Sheriff Connors that dated back over 20 years to 1988. Despite their long-standing connection, both men had carefully crafted public personas as straight. Haskins was married, and Connors had been dating Nicole Myers, serving as his beard. For Haskins, Hunter was not just an extortionist. He represented a threat to a carefully constructed life built on lies and secrecy. Hunter was not only a threat to Haskins' extortion scheme, but also to the secret he and Connors had managed to keep hidden for decades. Witness reports placed Haskins near the woods where Hunter's body was discovered on the night of the murder. A jogger told police she saw a car matching the description of Haskins' silver Lexus parked near a secluded trail entrance around 9:30 p.m. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station further supported this, showing a similar vehicle heading toward the area about an hour before Hunter was last seen alive. When confronted, Haskins admitted to being in the area, but insisted he had simply gone for a late-night drive to clear his head. He denied any contact with Hunter that night, though investigators found his story suspicious. The discovery of Haskins' ties to both Hunter and Connors added yet another layer of complexity to an already convoluted case, deepening the mystery surrounding Hunter's death. Did Haskins kill Hunter to cover up his secrets and protect his long-term connection with Connors? Or was it just a tragic accident, with Haskins caught in the wrong place at the wrong time? The evidence seemed to suggest more than mere coincidence, and the police kept pressing Haskins for answers. By the early hours of June 5, 2019, Nicole Myers had reached her limit. After days of emotional strain, her heartbreak over losing both her boyfriend, Sheriff Dale Connors, and her best friend, Hunter Walsh, erupted into uncontrollable anger. At the isolated cabin where she and Hunter had shared many private moments, Nicole confronted him about his betrayal. She felt humiliated, discarded, and consumed with rage, realizing that Hunter's actions had turned her into just a pawn in Dale's secretive world. Hunter, as always, was blunt and unrepentant, brushing off her accusations and only deepening her fury. In that moment of intense emotion, Nicole's eyes fell on an old baseball bat resting against the wall, an echo of past cabin memories. Gripping it with shaking hands, she swung it wildly, consumed by blind rage. Strike after strike landed on Hunter as he pleaded for mercy. But Nicole's fury had taken over completely, and when it was over, Hunter was motionless on the cabin floor. In a panic, Nicole quickly began to plot how to shift the blame onto Dale, hoping to escape suspicion herself. Nicole understood that revealing Dale's secret gay relationships would ruin his career and reputation, regardless of whether he was convicted of murder. Determined to frame him, she staged the scene, placing items from Dale's truck, his monogrammed glove and cigarette butts he often smoked, around the cabin. She carefully wiped her fingerprints from the bat, then fled, leaving behind a gruesome scene designed to make it look like her former lover was responsible. In the days following the murder, Nicola was torn between guilt and defiance. She convinced herself that her actions were justified, revenge for Hunter's betrayals and Dale's lies. But as the investigation began to focus on her, she could feel the pressure mounting and the walls closing in. The police uncovered incriminating text messages Nicola had sent to Hunter, including one that said, "You deserve everything coming your way." Security footage also showed her car near the cabin on the night of the murder. With the pressure mounting, Nicole's alibi began to fall apart. Forensic evidence contradicted Nicole's story of being elsewhere, and investigators were able to connect the dots between her motive and the opportunity. On July 20, 2019, she was arrested at her parents' house. The moment was bitter, marking the collapse of her carefully constructed facade. As Nicole was handcuffed, she sobbed, whispering, "I didn't mean for it to go that far." But beneath her tears, there was a dark sense of satisfaction. She had taken control of her pain, even if it meant destroying her own life in the process. Nicole's trial for the brutal murder of Hunter Walsh began in February 2020, just months after her arrest. The courtroom was packed with onlookers, including some local townspeople who knew both Nicola and Hunter, creating a charged and tense atmosphere. District Attorney Brianna Williams, leading the prosecution, argued that Nicola's actions were deliberate, fueled by jealousy, anger, and betrayal. She painted a portrait of a woman scorned who, consumed by rage, killed Hunter as a way to punish him for revealing the secrets of her relationship with Sheriff Dale Connors. Nicole's defense attorney, Mark Stapler, countered that his client was temporarily insane at the time of the murder. He argued that Nicole's emotional state had been fractured by the discovery of her boyfriend's infidelity and Hunter's extortion. Stapler suggested that the immense pressure of confronting the shocking truth about Dale's secret life caused Nicole to lose control, unable to tell right from wrong in the heat of the moment. She wasn't herself, Stapler told the jury. She was temporarily out of her mind, and her actions were a tragic result of that mental breakdown. However, the prosecution countered by highlighting the methodical way Nicola had staged the scene to frame Dale, arguing that this calculated effort showed she was fully in control of her actions. The prosecution also presented forensic evidence showing that Nicola had acted with clear intent. They introduced text messages from Nicola to Hunter found on his phone, which revealed her deep resentment towards him and her awareness of his extortion schemes. After several weeks of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict: guilty of second-degree murder. The defense's argument of temporary insanity wasn't enough to persuade the jury that Nicole should be held less accountable for her actions. While some found relief in the verdict, others in the small town of Pine Valley felt that justice was still lacking. Many continued to sympathize with Nicole, believing her emotional breakdown was understandable, given the betrayal she had suffered. At her sentencing hearing, the judge sentenced Nicola to 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Her attorneys Mark Stapler and Rachel Turner had hoped for a lighter sentence, but the judge stood firm in her decision, stating that the brutality of the crime and Nicola's manipulation of the evidence made it clear she was fully responsible for her actions. As Nicola was led away in handcuffs, she whispered to her attorney, "I never meant for it to go this far." The courtroom fell into a heavy silence, the full weight of the tragedy settling over everyone present. The aftermath of Hunter Walsh's murder cast a long shadow over the small town, leaving scars that wouldn't easily heal. Nicola Myers, now serving a 25-year sentence for her part in the killing, became a symbol of both devastation and heartbreak, a reminder of how betrayal and rage can shatter lives. Nicole's trial had gripped the town, and many were still grappling with the events that led to Hunter's death. She had been sentenced in February 2020, and now her life was confined to the cold walls of a state prison. Despite her attorney's efforts to argue that an emotional breakdown had driven her to murder, the jury found her guilty, and the judge handed down a severe sentence.